It was 80 years ago this week that Amelia Earhart disappeared, never to be seen again. It's one of the greatest mysteries in aviation history.
For nearly 9 decades, the name Amelia Earhart has echoed through history like a question the world could never answer. She was more than a pilot. She was a symbol of courage, freedom, and everything humanity dreamed of becoming. And then she vanished. No distress call, no wreckage, just silence across the endless Pacific. But that silence may finally be ending. Recent satellite scans over a remote island in the western Pacific, Nikamororo, have revealed something extraordinary. A metallic shape resting beneath shallow waters, eerily matching the outline of Earhart's Lockheed Electra. The same location where fragments, bones, and rumors have surfaced for decades. Now, 88 years later, a team of researchers from Purdue University, Amelia's own academic home, is preparing for an expedition that could rewrite everything we thought we knew. With sonar, underwater drones, and high-resolution imaging, they'll search the lagoon that may be hiding aviation's most enduring secret. If this object really is her plane, the mystery that haunted generations could finally be over. But what they find, or don't find, might change history forever. Subscribe now and stay with us, because when the ocean finally gives up its secret, you'll want to be here to witness it. Long before her name was etched into mystery, Amelia Earhart was just a curious girl from Atchison, Kansas, a child who would stop mid-play, tilt her head to the clouds, and wonder what it would feel like to touch the sky. The world she was born into told her no. Girls didn't fly. Women didn't dream beyond what they could see. But Amelia, she refused to listen. Her first flight wasn't in a cockpit. It was in her mind. That spark, that restless heartbeat that couldn't be confined to the ground, became the rhythm of her life. By the time she was in her 20s, that dream had evolved into a machine of metal and courage. Her airplane, her wings, her rebellion. In an era where men ruled the skies, she carved her own path, breaking altitude records, crossing oceans alone, defying gravity and expectation in equal measure. She became the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic, a feat so daring that newspapers called her Lady Lindy, the female counterpart to Charles Lindbergh. But Amelia didn't fly for fame, she flew for freedom. Every takeoff was a message to the world. Don't tell me what I can't do. Beyond the headlines and record books, she was warm, witty, and disarmingly human. Friends remembered her laughter, bright, genuine, the kind that filled hangars and hearts. She mentored women, inspired children, and believed that courage was contagious. To her students at Purdue University, she wasn't a celebrity. She was a teacher who told them that adventure wasn't about leaving the ground, but about rising above fear. But inside that fearless heart was a deeper restlessness, a desire not just to break records, but to circle the world itself. She wanted to draw a line around the planet, a complete loop of courage and sky. It would be her greatest flight, and, unknowingly, her last. In the summer of 1937, aboard her silver twin-engine Lockheed Electra, Amelia set out to make history. Every takeoff carried the weight of a dream that had begun in a Kansas field. Every landing brought her closer to the impossible. She crossed continents, oceans, storms, and uncertainty, all with that same calm confidence in her voice. "We're fine. We'll make it." And then she vanished. Somewhere over the endless blue expanse of the Pacific, her radio faded into static. Her coordinates slipped into uncertainty. The sky that once lifted her dreams now swallowed them whole. Her aircraft, sleek, powerful, and glinting like silver under the sun, simply disappeared. The world stopped. Search planes scoured the horizon. Ships combed the waves. But no sign of Amelia. No trace of her beloved Electra. It was as if the ocean itself had taken her in, not as a victim, but as a secret it would guard for nearly a century. Her disappearance became legend, her name immortal, and her dream unfinished. Because sometimes even the brightest stars don't fade. They vanish into the night, waiting for someone to find where they fell. It was July 2nd, 1937, dawn breaking over Lae, Papua New Guinea. The humid air shimmered with heat and history. Amelia Earhart stood beside her silver Lockheed Electra, the same aircraft she called her flying laboratory. At her side was navigator Fred Noonan, a man as skilled with maps as she was with courage. Together, they had already crossed jungles, deserts, and oceans. Now only one leg remained, the stretch that would complete their journey around the world. Their next destination, Howland Island, a tiny flat strip of coral halfway between Hawaii and Australia, just 2 miles long, barely visible even from above, a speck of land in a sea of endless blue. But to Amelia, it was more than a waypoint. It was the finish line of a dream. At 10 a.m. local time, the Electra's engines roared to life. The crowd waved, the cameras clicked, and Amelia smiled that same quiet smile, confident, calm, unstoppable. As the aircraft lifted off the runway and disappeared into the morning haze, no one knew they were watching the last flight of one of history's greatest pioneers. For hours, all went well. Her radio logs were routine. Calm reports, estimated positions, and steady progress. Then, as they approached the Central Pacific, the signals began to fade. The Itasca, a U.S. Coast Guard ship stationed near Howland Island, listened closely, trying to pick up her frequency. The reception was weak, broken by static. Amelia's voice crackled through the speakers, tense but steady. "We must be on you, but cannot see you. Gas is running low." Those were her last clear words. Moments later, her transmission cut out mid-sentence. No coordinates, no mayday, only silence. The Itasca radioed back frantically, scanning the horizon for a glint of silver, a shadow in the clouds, any sign of the Electra. But the sky gave nothing. The ocean remained still. By nightfall, panic had begun to spread. By morning, the world knew. Amelia Earhart vanishes over Pacific. The headlines circled the globe like wildfire. America mourned. The world watched in disbelief. President Roosevelt ordered the largest air and sea search in history, covering thousands of square miles. Dozens of ships, aircraft, and explorers joined the hunt, but every flight, every dive returned with the same haunting report. Nothing. No wreckage, no bodies, no answers. Some believed she ran out of fuel and crashed into the sea. Others claimed she landed on an uncharted island and survived for days, perhaps weeks. Conspiracy theories began to swirl, secret missions captured by enemies, even government cover-ups. But through it all, one truth remained. The Pacific had swallowed its secret whole, and so the story of the woman who once touched the sky ended in static and silence. But did it really end? Because 88 years later, strange sonar readings, fragments of metal, and newly uncovered maps suggest that maybe, just maybe, Amelia Earhart never truly vanished. Maybe the ocean just hid her. Until now, when Amelia Earhart vanished, the world didn't simply move on, it stopped. Her disappearance wasn't just another news story, it was a wound that refused to heal. For a world still reeling from the Great Depression and standing at the edge of war, she had been a symbol of hope, courage, and the impossible. And then, in a single day, that hope fell silent over the Pacific. The U.S. Navy launched the largest search operation in its history. More than 250,000 square miles of ocean scoured by ships and aircraft. The battleship Colorado and the aircraft carrier Lexington joined the hunt. Pilots flew grid after grid over the endless water, scanning for a glimmer of metal, a fuel slick, a shadow beneath the waves. But each day ended the same way, with nothing. Not a single trace of the Lockheed Electra, not a single sign of Amelia, and when logic failed, imagination took over. Theories began to multiply, each more captivating than the last. Some said she simply ran out of fuel and crashed into the ocean. Others swore she landed safely on a remote atoll, living out her last days as a castaway. As the Second World War loomed, darker whispers emerged that she had been captured by the Japanese, accused of being a spy, that she was taken to the Marshall Islands, or Saipan, or even Tokyo itself. In the 1940s, a photograph surfaced, allegedly showing Amelia alive on a dock, her back turned to the camera. Newspapers called it the proof we've been waiting for, but like so many others, it faded under scrutiny, another piece of hope that dissolved into rumor. Then came the stories from Nikumaroro Island, a desolate coral atoll in the Phoenix Islands, hundreds of miles from her intended route. Local tales spoke of strange debris washing ashore in the late 1930s, scraps of aluminum, a woman's shoe, and human bones found near a makeshift campsite. British colonial officers dismissed them, claiming they belonged to a sailor. But decades later, forensic analysis whispered otherwise. Every decade brought new explorers, scientists, divers, dreamers, and believers, all chasing the same ghost. Some arrived with high-tech sonar, others with nothing but maps and conviction. Expeditions by groups like TIGAR uncovered rivets, fragments, and broken instruments that eerily matched the Electra's design. Yet each discovery, rather than solving the mystery, only deepened it. Why was there no complete wreck, no definitive proof? The mystery began to outgrow the woman herself. Amelia Earhart wasn't just missing. She had become eternal, a symbol of humanity's unending search for meaning, for closure, for answers that the ocean still refused to give. Her face, smiling beneath her flight cap, became a modern myth, part history, part ghost story. From classrooms to conspiracy forums, documentaries to dinner tables, the question echoed through time. Where is Amelia Earhart? And now, nearly a century later, that question may finally have an answer. Because deep beneath the turquoise waters near Nikumaroro, something metallic, something unmistakably human-made, has just been found. Could this be it? Could this be where the greatest mystery in aviation finally comes to rest? For 88 years, the Pacific kept it secret, calm on the surface, silent below. Waves rolled endlessly over the same stretch of blue where Amelia Earhart vanished, as if the ocean itself had chosen to forget. But in 2025, it finally began to speak again. It started with a flicker of light, a strange anomaly spotted by a private satellite scan over Nikumaroro Island. What appeared to be nothing more than coral and sand revealed something unusual, a shape, faint yet deliberate, resting in the lagoon's shallows. A eye analysis ran the images through hundreds of filters, scanning for metallic signatures, curvature, and reflection. The result? Chills. The algorithm flagged man-made geometry, symmetrical, riveted, unmistakably structured, and buried in the coral was a shadow that matched the precise dimensions of a Lockheed Model 10E Electra, Amelia Earhart's plane. They called it the Taraya object, named after the nearby reef ridge. Its outline was hauntingly familiar, a smooth fuselage, twin engines, and even the faint trace of a broken tail section, all eerily consistent with the aircraft that disappeared in 1937. For decades, sonar scans had yielded nothing but rocks and rumor. But this time, technology was different. Machine learning processed every pixel, comparing it to historical blueprints, flight records, and underwater distortion models. What emerged wasn't imagination. It was evidence. And the place? Exactly where legends pointed, the lagoon near the spot where bones, bottles, and old aircraft fragments had once been found. The coordinates aligned almost perfectly with Amelia's final radio bearings from that last morning. The discovery sent shockwaves through the scientific community. Leading the new mission were researchers from Purdue University, where Amelia herself once taught and inspired generations, and the Archaeological Legacy Institute, a team that had spent years preparing for this very moment. Their goal, to confirm what the world had only dared to believe. Armed with underwater ROVs, AI-driven sonar drones, and high-resolution photogrammetry, the 2025 expedition will dive deeper than anyone has before. They'll explore the exact location of the Taraya object, scanning, mapping, and reconstructing in 3 dimensions what the ocean has kept hidden for almost a century. Even more hauntingly, the team is carrying Amelia's own archived flight maps, recovered from Purdue's collection, maps marked with her handwritten notes, her flight path, and the corrections she made just days before she vanished. In a way, it's as if her own guidance is leading the search, her final course coming full circle. For the first time, every piece of technology, every beam of sonar, every pixel of data points to one place, the place where the dreams once flew. And beneath the silence of the sea, the shadows are beginning to take shape. Could this be the wreckage of Amelia's Lockheed Electra? Or has the ocean once again played its cruelest trick, giving us just enough hope to keep searching? Whatever lies beneath those turquoise waves, one thing is certain: the ocean isn't silent anymore. After 88 years of silence, the waves of Nikumaroro Island greeted the research vessel Endeavour with a whisper, as if the ocean itself knew why they had come. The team, a mix of archaeologists, engineers, divers, and historians, stepped ashore in awe. For a moment, no one spoke. The air was still, heavy with heat and history. Somewhere beyond the palms, the lagoon shimmered. Calm, innocent, endless. This was the same horizon Amelia Earhart had once flown over. Perhaps the same sand her eyes last saw before the world lost her. The beach was quiet except for the hum of equipment and the rhythmic crash of waves. Under their boots lay decades of coral fragments and driftwood, the debris of time. One researcher picked up a small piece of aluminum washed ashore, its edges smooth from years of erosion. "It's nothing," he said softly, but everyone knew what it could be. By noon, the sonar drones were deployed, gliding across the turquoise water like silent messengers. Every pulse sent waves of sound into the deep, every return echo painting a picture of what lay beneath. Hours passed, then days. The scans came back filled with noise, coral, rocks, and shadows. Nothing certain, nothing yet. The sun sank into the Pacific, and the team began to wonder if the ocean would stay silent again. Then at 2:47 p.m. on the 4th day, a signal, a single, sharp reflection, metallic. The sonar operator froze. The pattern repeated, symmetrical, angular, not natural. His voice trembled through the radio. "I've got something. Sending coordinates now." Within minutes, the underwater ROV was launched, its cameras descending through the shifting blue light. The footage flickered on screen, coral walls, sand, scattered debris. Then, something different. At first, it looked like a curved shadow. Then, the light caught metal, dulled by time but still unmistakably silver, a smooth fuselage shape half buried in coral. Just beyond it, the faint outline of a propeller. The control room fell silent. No cheers, no excitement, only a stunned, reverent stillness. The camera moved closer, brushing past coral growths that had fused to the metal over decades. On the side of the wreckage, faint rivet lines, perfectly matching those of the Lockheed Model 10E Electra. Someone whispered, almost afraid to say it out loud, "We might have found her." For a long moment, no one spoke again. Even the sea seemed to hold its breath. The lead researcher wiped a tear from his mask as the image came into full view, a silver ghost resting in the sand, her wings crumpled but not broken, preserved in the stillness of time. After all the theories, the failed searches, and the endless hope, the truth wasn't loud. It was quiet, peaceful. The ocean hadn't destroyed her. It had protected her, hidden her story beneath layers of coral and memory, waiting for the day humanity was ready to listen. As the team surfaced, the sky glowed gold over the island. For the first time in 88 years, it felt like Amelia was coming home. But one question still lingered. If this is truly her plane, what else might be waiting below? When the divers surfaced that day, the Pacific was silent, as if the ocean itself knew what had been uncovered. Beneath the calm blue waves, time had been patient, keeping its secret safe for nearly 9 decades. The wreckage resting on the lagoon floor wasn't just twisted metal and rusted rivets. It was a message, one that had waited 88 years to be heard. Experts will spend months, maybe years, analyzing every bolt, every fragment, every grain of sand. But even before the data, even before the tests, there was something undeniable, a feeling. Standing there on the edge of Nikumaroro, the team didn't see a grave. They saw a monument, a testament to courage, to endurance, to the fire of one woman who refused to stop flying even when the world told her she couldn't. The damage to the fuselage tells its own silent story, not of a crash and panic, but of a forced landing, a pilot fighting to keep control till the very end. The wings are bent, but not shattered. The cabin door seems deliberately opened. These are the marks of someone who didn't surrender. She didn't fall from the sky. She landed on her own terms. It's almost as if she knew this was where her journey would end, not in the endless sea, but on a quiet island that would one day whisper her story back to the world. Every piece recovered, a fragment of glass, a broken gauge, a corroded compass, feels like a word from the past, part of a sentence that reads, "I was here, I never gave up." And in a way, she never truly vanished. Her name crossed oceans, echoed through classrooms, inspired millions to look upward and dare. Even without proof, people believed, not because of science, but because of spirit. Amelia Earhart was never just a pilot. She was a dream in motion. The Pacific didn't bury her. It guarded her, gently, deliberately, beneath waves that shimmer like silver at sunset. Like a mother holding her child's memory, the ocean waited until we were ready to listen again. Now, as the cameras fade and the last light of day spills across the island, you can almost hear it. The faint hum of propellers carried on the wind, the whisper of adventure that refuses to die. Maybe this is her plane, maybe it isn't, but it doesn't really matter. The truth isn't in the metal. It's in what she left behind: courage, curiosity, and the will to chase the horizon, no matter how far. Because maybe Amelia Earhart never vanished at all. Maybe she just flew farther than anyone ever has. Subscribe, because when history whispers again, you'll want to be there to listen.